What's up guys? In this video, I'm going to show you all the gear you need to DJ with CDJs and a mixer and how to hook it up. But first, let's talk a little bit about CD players. You can either opt for 2 standalone CD decks, like the Pioneer CDJs, or you can opt for a dual CD player that actually has 2 CD decks in one unit. But for these lessons, we're going to focus on the standalone decks because they act more like turntables. And we're going to focus on the Pioneer CDJs because they're industry standard. However, if you have other standalone decks or even the dual CD players, don't worry because a lot of these features will translate over to that. Also, with the CD lessons that I'm about to teach later, those lessons will also translate, especially if you have standalone decks of any sort. So don't worry, you'll still be able to get something out of this. Now, what do you need? First, we have 2 Pioneer CDJs, so you need at least 2 standalone CD decks. You need a mixer with at least 2 to 4 channels. You need 2 RCA cables. You need CDs. And if you want to take advantage of the memory in the CDJs, you need at least 2 SD cards. The SD cards should be SDHC only because that's the only ones that the CDJs actually read. And they also only read up to 32 gigabytes. Some people have been able to go farther, but they have to reformat it and it gets really technical. So just to be safe, 32 gigabytes per SD card. Also, if you want to take advantage of the USB feature in the Pioneer CDJs, you can either plug in a portable hard drive or you can get yourself a flash drive. Make sure the flash drive is minimum 4 gigabytes and maximum 64 gigabytes because that's what the CDJ likes. And you only need one because you can actually link the CDJs together, and if you want to do that, you need an Ethernet cable. You can also even hook up your laptop to a CDJ, in which case you want a USB cable. You also need headphones. If you want people to hear you, you're also going to need some speakers. And there's a few different kinds of speakers you want to think about. There's the speakers that project out to the dance floor or the crowd, and then you want to get the appropriate wires for those. Unless you're DJing in a club, then they'll already have those speakers. And then you also want to think about getting a monitor speaker. Now, with these lessons, you can totally learn without any speakers. You can learn in your headphones. But it's good to practice with a monitor. Now, if you're just at home, you can get like a little computer speaker, something small, just so you can practice listening to the speaker and the headphones at the same time. But if you want to DJ out at a gig and they don't have speakers there and maybe you're a mobile DJ, you also want to get a monitor speaker, something bigger that you can hear over the sound on the dance floor. If you want to talk to people while you're DJing, you might want to have a mic and a mic cable. This mic cable actually has XLR input, which is this big one here, and 1/4 inch output. But every mic is different, every mixer is different, so make sure you get the cable that's appropriate to the mic and the mixer. And if you also want to use a flash drive to pull your music from with the CDJs, you're also going to need a laptop computer. Now you don't need to bring it to your gigs with you, but you need it to prepare your tracks ahead of time using the record box software that you need to use with the CDJs. And I'll show you all about that later, but you'll need the record box software. Now that you know everything you need, let's hook it up. First, let's start with the CDJs into the mixer. You're going to need to get those 2 RCA cables. Now when you get your CDJs, they're going to come with the RCA cables, so don't worry about that. But you plug one end of the RCA cable into the CDJ and the other one into the input of the mixer. And then you plug in your other CDJ. Now, if your mixer has inputs that switch between line and phono or CD and phono, make sure it's set to either line or CD, depending on the mixer. So this mixer switches between CD and phono, so I have it set to CD. Next, you want to plug in the power to your CDJs. And that goes right here. Now your mixer power. And your speakers. So this mixer has XLR inputs, so I have XLR cables for my speakers, and I'm going to plug them in right here. Next, you want to plug in your monitors, and I have my monitor cables right here. They're 1/4 inch, and they go into the booth output. Next, you want to plug in your mic. So I have my mic cable with the XLR on one end, and that goes into the mic. And then I have 1/4 inch on the other. And every mixer is different. Some have XLR inputs for the mic and some have 1/4 inch. This one actually has both, so you can choose whichever one you want to use. If you want to link your CDJs, you want to get your Ethernet cable and plug one end in one CDJ and the other end in the other CDJ. Let's do that. Next up, you want to plug in your SD cards if you want to use the memory in the CDJs. Like I said, they have to be up to 32 gigabytes, no more than that, just to be safe, and they have to be SDHC. So make sure that you have that right card, otherwise it's not going to work. And you need one for each CDJ. So let's put them in. They go in this slot right here, and make sure the label is up so that that little cutoff end is facing to the right, and then just slide it in. And close the lid. And then if you ever want to get it out, just push it, and it pops right back up again. You can also store your music on the SD cards if you want, so you don't even need the flash drive. But when you get to a club, a lot of them already have the SD cards in, and so then you want to bring your flash drive, which can actually hold more music because you can go up to 64 gigabytes, or you can do a portable hard drive for all that stuff. So anyway, moving on. Next up, you want to plug in your headphones. And last, you have your CDs or your USB, or both if you want to use both. But we'll plug those in once the CDJs are on. So that's it. That's all the gear you need to DJ with CDJs and a mixer and how to hook it up. In the next video, I'm going to show you all the features of the CDJ. I'll see you then.